Hey, happy Friday. Don't mind me. I just ate 2 pieces of whole wheat bread. That was my breakfast because I haven't had time to eat anything else. It's about 9:30 in the morning. Happy Friday to you. Whee! I'm going to Virginia today. Well, for part of the day. I'm going to go up there and trim some bushes, whether my dad likes it or not. Oh, you don't have to do that. I said, I know I don't have to. I'm going to do it anyway because I'm just as stubborn as you are. Oh, you ain't got to do that. Doing it. Oh, shit. I just realized damn it. I left the damn clippers at home. Mother. I'll have to ask him if he has any clippers. I'm sure he does. Shit. And I bought them specifically for going up there and trimming bushes. I left them at the damn house. I've had to do too much this morning. I have had to do too much this morning already. I had to take my son to school first thing this morning. I had some eBay stuff to package up. I have that here with me so I can drop it off on the way. I've already done a video this morning and not the one I uploaded at 6:30. No, that one I finished last night before 7. It was done before 7 o'clock and uploaded to YouTube. And then checks ran for 5 hours and we're still running at midnight. 5 hours. And they never finished. See, YouTube has to do these checks where a little AI bot or whatever the hell it is has to listen to and watch your video for inappropriate or copyrighted content. Sometimes it takes 20 minutes. I've had it take as long as 8 hours. I had one that took 8 hours one time. And you never know how long it's going to take. You have no control over it. And you can't publish it till the checks are done. Especially with them accusing me of invalid ad traffic. I'm not doing anything right now to, antagonize them. I wait until all the checks are done before I do anything else. I can't believe I left my clippers at the house. And I reminded myself 2 or 3 times, don't forget the clippers. Maybe you should go get them now and put them in the car. Did I? No. Let me finish this and then I'll go get them. And then I forgot about it. And then I'd remember later, go get the clippers. You need to put them in the car. Let me finish this and I'll go get them. And then something else would come up. And then something else would come up. And I freaking forgot them. Now I'm going to have to ask to borrow his, and he'll probably say no because I didn't want you to do it in the first place. I can do it myself. That was the first thing I really ever learned to say when I was little. I can do it myself. I was very fond of that phrase. If you tried to do anything for me, I can do it myself. I can do it myself. I like doing everything for myself, even if it took 10 times as long. I wanted to do it myself. I didn't want anybody to do it. I can do it myself. Drove my mom crazy. Like, can I just handle this? We got to get going. I can do it myself. Lord. I've always been like that. Like, I'll do it. I can handle it. So, shit. Man, I did. I bought new clippers. They had this little set at Ollies for $12.99. You could get these little pruning shears and these short loppers. And I had been looking for some loppers that had shorter handles on them. I have a pair of the great big long ones and they're fine, but I don't always need those. I wanted a pair that was a little shorter, and they had a pair with the little pruning shears for $12.99 for the 2 together, and I bought that, and I was going to bring it with me. Well, we're coming back up here. There's another day that I'm coming up here with my kids to do some more. Maybe I'll remember it then. I don't know. Frankly, I'm tired. I don't really feel like going to Virginia today. I mean, I want to see my dad and my stepmom. I'm just tired. I'm really not in the mood for this today, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I talked to my accountant this morning, and I told him, because we were talking about my taxes, and we're working out, how much extra I'm going to have to pay this year, and I'm going to have to make a big-ass payment to the IRS and for state taxes next week, and it's about $7,000 more than what I pay every month, but it's going to be an additional $7,000 I have to pay. being self-employed sucks, man. They take a big wet bite out of your ass that, ugh, it's obscene how much you have to pay in taxes. Even with all, all the discounts and all the exemptions and write-offs and everything, it's still a lot. So I was talking to him. I said, look, here's what's going on with YouTube. They have accused me of invalid ad traffic, and I appealed it over 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard anything from anybody. I can't get anybody to tell me anything. I contact Google every couple of days or so about it, and all they do is give me the definition for invalid traffic. Like, I know what invalid traffic is. You don't need to keep telling me. I'm not asking you what it is. I'm trying to figure out why y'all are saying that I have it on my channel. And I filed an appeal and I haven't heard anything, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And all they ever tell me is, well, you're just going to have to continue to wait. We can't tell you how long it's going to be before you get a response because we don't know. Just keep waiting and they will get back to you when they can. Well, that's not good enough. I need to know, is it going to stay like this? So I was telling my accountant about it, and all he does is he works with YouTubers, and that's it. That's all of his clients are YouTubers, and most of them are way bigger than me. I'm one of the little bitty ones. And he said he's going to talk to a couple of people, a couple of other, I don't know who his clients are. Obviously he's not going to tell me who they are, but he said, I'm going to talk to a couple of people about it. Let them know what's going on and just ask them what they think and if they have any ideas. So that's cool. I may get more answers out of them than I've gotten out of damn Google or YouTube. I'm stressed all the time. I hate it. I want an answer. I'm starting to think I'm never going to get one. So I had to package eBay stuff. I already got a video done. It's uploading right now. Maybe by the time I get home, the checks will be done. My God. It was a really simple one. It was just I just got one of the Goodwill jewelry bags out, and we looked through some of the jewelry. It was a bunch of bracelets. There's some pretty stuff in there. Yeah, so that's going to be one of my videos today. I will probably do a second one when I get home if I can, if I'm not just completely exhausted. Sometimes when I come back from up there, I'm so tired, I can't even think straight. I don't know if I'm going to be like that today or not. So I'm taking this long drive. It's almost an hour and a half to get there from my house to get to his house, and then I have to drive back. Yeah, get in your lane, dude. Big ass flatbed. The flatbed is sort of over in my lane a little bit. Too close for comfort. Now he's pushing a little Nissan Versa up the road that's just camping in the left lane. You tell him, man. Damn left lane campers. I stay over here in the old lady lane. I stay in the slow lane. Y'all go ahead. I know I'm not going fast enough for y'all. I stay over here out of the way. That's fine by me. I've gotten a lot of questions. I posted something on the community page for my other channel about building something over there. I posted a thing on my community tab about, I want to do a Q&A video. Do you have any questions for me? Anything personal or creepy, I'm not going to answer, but, I reserve the right to not answer questions. I haven't gotten too many personal ones. There were a few that I'm not answering that. Somebody asked me on a comment on this channel, who is the life insurance company? Who's your life insurance provider or carrier? I don't know why that question creeped me out. Like, why do you need to know that? Why do you need to know where my life insurance is? No, I know I talked about it, but it's a major company. I feel kind of weird telling you who it is. I don't know why. Like, sometimes I get questions, and I know it seems inconsistent, and I don't understand it either, but some questions that seem kind of personal I will answer, and it doesn't bother me, but some of them just like, ugh, why do you need to know that? And somebody asked me too, can you tell me about your kid's dad? All these questions about my kid's dad. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to get into anything. That's too personal. I'm not going to start talking about people in my life with that level of detail. Never mind. We're not talking about him. I'm just going to leave it at that. We don't talk about him beyond whatever I say, just making jokes. No, I'm not talking about him any more than I already have. And most of the other questions were kind of interesting. It seems like a lot of people want to know, if you could go back to being a young person again, what advice would you give yourself? So I will address that in a video on my other channel. And a lot of people wanted to know, how do you know if you're making the right decision about something, like what college to go to, or whether or not to have kids, whether or not to get married? How do you know? And I'm going to definitely talk about that, because that was a lot of people asked that. How do you know what the right answer is? And what I would say about that, for whatever it is you want to know, whatever decision you have to make, as you get older, you are going to run into situations, and we all do. Every adult has to deal with this. You're going to run into situations where you have to make choices, and it may not be clear 100% what you should do. Some decisions are easy to make. I'd say most decisions are. You make hundreds of decisions a day, but occasionally a decision is something is going to come along, and you're going to have to make a choice, and it's not going to be really clear what the best choice is. And it's hard. There will be times in your life that you're going to have to make choices, and you're not going to know for sure what the best choice is, or what the right choice is, or the better choice, or whatever. You may not know. And sometimes you just have to close your eyes, hope for the best, and make a choice. You're just going to have to pick and hope it turns out okay. I wish I could tell you there was some magic formula or a magic spell that you could, something you could utter to make it not that way, but that's the way life is. And you will wonder, there are decisions you're going to have to make in your life, and you are going to wonder occasionally for the rest of your life, what would have happened if I had chosen differently? What if I had done this? What if I had gone there? What if I had married this person? What if? And you're never going to know. You're never going to know how it would have affected your life. You will never know. You have no way of knowing. Every adult walking around on earth has at least one of those things in their mind that they could tell you, yeah, I always kind of wondered what would have happened if I had done this, if I had chosen this. But what path would my life have taken if I had done that? So I don't really have great advice for you on that. How do I know if I'm picking the right college? You're not going to know. Sometimes you just have to look at your choices, make an informed decision. Sit down and write out the pros and the cons if you want to, whatever works for you. Here's the good stuff, here's the bad stuff for each choice. And then you're just going to have to pick and hope for the best. You make decisions based on what you believe to be true at the time, based on what you know. There may be information you don't know. You could pick a college and then get there and find out you hate it for something that you didn't even know about when you made the decision. Like, I didn't know it was going to be like that. You're not going to know all of the criteria, all of the factors ahead of time in most of the decisions you make. There may be things that come up later that make you regret your decision. There could also be things that come up later that make you look at your other options and go, I am so glad I didn't pick that. Like, should I marry that person? And then later on, you see what life is like for them and their spouse. Like, I am so glad I didn't marry that person. Thank God. I mean, that could have been me. I don't know that our marriage would have gone that way, but, I'm glad I didn't marry them. I have something like that, yeah. When I was engaged when I was 16, and I'm so glad I did not marry that man. oh my Lord, it would have been a disaster. My life would be unrecognizable right now, and it would not be good. I know that for a fact. I am so glad I got away from him. So, which college should you pick? Where should you move to? What job should you take? I don't have a magic formula for you. I don't. I wish I did, because that would make life a lot easier. If you could go talk to your fairy godmother and find out, you know, what's the best thing for me, and they could just tell you, it would be great. See, that's one thing about being a kid. Most of the time, when you're a kid, somebody else is making big decisions for you. Good or bad, you don't have to make those decisions. Usually. I'm not saying kids never have to make big decisions. I mean, you could have your parents come to you and say, okay, kid, you have to pick which parent you want to live with. It's up to you. Now pick. I mean, there are kids that have to do that. It sucks. But, I mean, it could be a good thing. I don't know. But most of the time when you're a kid, you don't have to make big decisions. So it is kind of a shock when you start to get older and you do have to make big decisions that could affect the rest of your life. It's hard. But look at it this way, okay? So you have to choose, right? But keep in mind, you're not going to be locked in forever. Most of the time, depending on what the decision is, you're not going to be locked in forever to that decision. Like, say you go off to college and you discover, for whatever reason, I hate this school. I don't want to go to this school anymore. I want to go to a different school. It's not prison. You don't have to stay there. If you don't like that school, you can go to a different school. You can transfer to another school. I'm plugging up my phone. Sorry, I just realized I meant to plug it up earlier. I didn't plug it up. It's plugged up now. So yeah, you don't, it's not like most of the decisions you make in your life, you don't have to stay there. You can change. If you're still alive, you can change your life. I say that all the time because I think people forget. You don't have to continue down this path if you think this is the wrong path for you. You can change your path. You can go a different way. So just keep that in mind. You know, try not to stress about it too much. Also, if you feel like you made a bad decision in the past, don't beat yourself up too much about it. I mean, just keep in mind, you made that decision based on what you knew at the time and what you thought to be the right choice. You were doing what you thought was best at the time. You know more now than you knew then, so don't be too hard on yourself. It's okay. Because you can always, most of the time, you can change it. That was a bad decision. Well, I can change my mind about it. I can go a different way. I can do something else. And okay, so I want to talk about that. I'm going to get into all that. But yeah, you're not always going to know the right thing to do. You're not. Nobody does. Everybody goes through it. I don't care who you are, young, old, rich, poor. Don't care what part of the world you're from. I don't care who you are. Everybody has to make decisions that are hard, and you'll never know for sure if you made the right one or not. That's one thing we all have in common. We all have stuff like that. It's just part of being a human being. It's just part of being alive. You have to do it. And sometimes you have to make those decisions very quickly. And it sucks because you may look back and go, man, if I'd had more time to decide, I probably would have made a better choice. But, well, you didn't. So you did what you thought was best. So don't be too hard on yourself. A couple of people also asked me, how do I know if I should have kids or not? Or how do I know when is the right time to have kids? Whoa, that's a tough one. And a lot of the questions people ask me, it really depends on the person. I mean, everybody's situation is going to be different. Every person is different. There's no magic formula that's going to tell you the answer that you're looking for. Having children is a very personal choice to make. I can tell you, I was an investigator for Child Protective Services for about a year when I was younger. And I just finished my English degree. I have degrees in psychology and English, and I just finished up my English degree. I got a job as a CPS investigator, and in another county, and it was a hell of a commute, but it was, anyway, I didn't want to work in the county I lived in anyway, because that, you run into personal conflicts and stuff. So yeah, I thought it would be better to go to a county where I don't really know anybody. So that's what I did. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, a lot of people have no business being parents. That is just my opinion, because I saw shit you don't want to know. Some people have no business being within 500 miles of a child. They don't. They have no business being around children. Just terrible stuff that people do to kids. It'll mess you up. I see why there's a high turnover rate for CPS investigators. It is, oh God, it's awful. When you have to go to a hospital and see a newborn because of something their parent did, or a babysitter, it messes you up for a while. It will mess you up, because I had to do that. One of the last cases I investigated, I had to go, my first encounter with the child was in the emergency room. You never forget stuff like that. It's horrible. It is horrible what people will do to children. Ugh. God almighty. But anyway, yeah, a lot of people have no business being parents. They don't. No child deserves to be treated the way some people treat them. It's unholy. Come on, Honda Pilot. Come on. People get right here, they get scared, like they just stop. Like, just keep going. All right. We're in Winston-Salem right now. Dirty looking city. All right, let me get out of your way. So, again, just like making big decisions in your life, and having kids is a big decision. I can't tell you when the right time is to have kids, because it's going to be different for everybody. Some people think it's better, if you're going to do it, some people say it's better to do it when you're younger. Some people say it's better to do it when you're older. I think it just depends on the person. I know people who have said, I wish I had had my kids earlier, and I know people who have said, I wish I'd had mine later. But although I would say I have heard more people say, just anecdotal, I've heard more people say, I wish I had had them younger. Because as you get older, it's harder. I was 35 when my younger son was born. I was 31 when my older son was born. Just that 4-year difference was tough. Of course, I had a younger kid at home too, but getting up multiple times throughout the night, every night for a long time, I think it would have been a lot easier if I was 25 instead of 35. I think that would have been easier. Plus, I was on my own. But again, I'm not going to get into personal shit with my kid's dad. I'm not going to talk about that any more than I'm comfortable. But let's just say I was on my own, because I was. And so I was having to do everything myself, and I was working full-time as well. I went back to work full-time when he was 6 weeks old. And it was not easy. It was a really rough time. And he was not sleeping through the night. He would wake up throughout the night, and I was just, for that first year of his life, I was a zombie. I was just a zombie. Oh my God, it was awful. But we got through it. But anyway, I can't tell you what's right for you. Should you have them younger, older? There are so many factors that go into that. I don't know. I'm not even going to offer an answer on that. I think financially, I was better off having them a little older. It would have been a lot harder financially if I had done it 10 years earlier for me. But I don't know what your situation is. It's expensive to have kids. It is, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Now, of course, if you're going to have kids, I would recommend looking at your budget, figuring out what you can eliminate to save some money. You can do it. I know it's hard though. You're not going to have a lot of extra money. You're broke ass. Unless you make a whole lot of money, which I didn't. I didn't make a whole lot of money when I had my kids. Yeah, your broke ass is going to feel it. Just being very blunt, like, it's expensive, and just giving birth, paying for that, even if you haven't had insurance. I had insurance, but it still cost a lot out of pocket just to have him, both of my kids, and it took me a while to pay it off. I had to work out a payment plan with the hospital, but that's just part of, that's just the situation. That's just the reality of it. I think the best thing I ever did, though, was have kids. And I'm just speaking for myself. The best thing I did was have kids. And this is coming from somebody who, up until the age of 30, said they were never having kids. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm never having them. And I looked at it kind of like, my childhood was really messed up in a lot of ways. And I was kind of afraid to have kids. I thought, am I going to screw them up the way I was screwed up? I was worried about that. And that was pretty much my main reason for not wanting to have kids. I was afraid I'd screw them up. But something about turning 30 changed my mind. When I turned 30, for the first time, I felt like a grown-up. I felt like an adult. And I started thinking, if you ever do want to have a kid, you're 30. I mean, I don't know how much longer I would wait. Seriously. So, and my husband at the time had 3 other kids from a previous marriage. And we talked about it and decided to, try to have a baby. And it didn't take long. First cycle, I was pregnant. And I was joking because I said, I've been on the pill for so long. Wouldn't it be funny if I found out I didn't even need it? Well, apparently I did, because, I went off the pill 2 weeks later, I was pregnant. So, okay, maybe, okay. I'm not barren after all, so. Yeah, and then I had a bonus kid 4 years later. 4 years and 4 months later, I had my bonus child. I thought I was one and done. No. So, yeah, the second one was a challenge. I had a lot of health problems with my second pregnancy that I didn't have with the first one, and it was not a fun experience. I love my son. I love him to death. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, but I had a lot of health problems when I was pregnant with him. It was a tough 40 weeks. It really was. It was tough. But you'll never know when the right time. You'll never be fully ready to have a kid, okay? Shit will happen that you are not prepared for. You learn on the job. I don't care how much you babysat when you were younger. I don't care how many nieces or nephews you have. I don't care how many dogs you have. I don't care how many cats you have. You are never going to be fully prepared for having a child. Having dogs is not the same as having a child. Having nieces and nephews is not the same as having a child, unless you're raising them. I'm not saying that I'm, I have the golden uterus and I can speak for everyone. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying that to turn you off to the thought of having kids. It's okay. Stuff will come up, and some of it will be hilarious. Like, what the hell? How am I supposed to handle that? You'll handle it. You will. Like parents have done for thousands of years. You roll up your sleeves and you get it done. You just handle it. Yeah. Like when your kid has a blowout in the airport, you handle it. You just handle it. That's what parents do. You take care of it. You are ready. And you won't believe how much more confidence you have in yourself after a while. Like, man, I'm invincible. I can do anything. Look at me. I always feel bad for parents, though, who start out with an easy baby, like they sleep through the night almost like immediately, and they don't cry much. They're very low maintenance. And my mom went through this. She told me about it. She said, your brother was so easy. He hardly ever cried. He was never fussy. It was no problem. And I never understood why people said having kids was so hard. Like, this is easy. And then I had you. See, the universe has a sense of humor about that, because that happened to me too. My second child came out like the damn Tasmanian devil. I mean, it was a totally different experience from my first kid. My first kid was pretty, he wasn't completely quiet. His cry could peel paint off the walls. I mean, he was loud. He had some lungs on him. My second kid was the same way. He was very loud. but he was a lot more fussy. There was nothing wrong with him physically. He was just, I don't know, man. He was just never happy for long, and just screaming all the time. And my God, and it was a challenge. It was a hell of a challenge. It was totally different. So you get cocky with that first kid if they're easy, and then you go on and have that second kid, and it's like, oh dear God, I see what they're talking about now. Yeah, my mom literally told me if I'd been born first, you wouldn't have had any more kids. She said, you were just horrible. I mean, you were such a difficult child. You know. She said, yeah, I wouldn't have had any more if you'd been my first. Like, sorry, damn. Yeah, she said it was terrible. She had a hell of a time with me. But my brother was the total opposite. So don't think that your subsequent children is going to be the same experience as it was with your first, because it probably won't be. And just because if your first child comes out like the Tasmanian devil with a lampshade on his head and a beer bottle, that doesn't mean that if you have more children, it's going to be the same. It could be totally different, because they're totally different people. You know, just like we are. I mean, they're humans. You know, they come out and they're different, and they behave differently, and they respond differently to things. So it's probably not going to be the same. It's going to be different. I'm not saying it'll be better or worse. It's just going to be different. Yeah, you're never fully ready for having kids. I don't care how many books you read. I don't care how many classes you go to. But you can do it. You can handle it. Don't base your opinion on having children on social media. The mommies and the parents and don't base it on that. That's fake. Please keep in mind that shit is fake. That is highly produced, edited, scripted shit. It's not real. Don't base it on baby forums online, like message forums, and don't base it on any of that. It's all fake. It's a bunch of mommies having a pissing contest about whose kid is more brilliant. It's not real. Don't base it on any of that. It's not real. The people you're watching on social media who have kids, that's not what their life is really like. And honestly, I feel bad for their kids. If you see some of the, I'm not talking about all of them, but these ones where they constantly have a camera in their kid's face, like, I don't know. I mean, you never see my kids. Well, they don't want to be part of it anyway. And that's another thing people ask me. Do your kids watch your videos? No, they don't. They don't give two shits about my channel. They don't care. They have no interest in it. They don't watch it, which is fine. They don't have to. It's okay. I wouldn't want my kids to be constantly involved in it. I want them to live their own life. They didn't ask for me to do that. They didn't consent to being part of it. I wouldn't want to constantly have them in my videos like that. But that's just me. I mean, every parent has to make their own choices. You know, if you want to have your kids in a video 2 or 3 times a day, I mean, that's up to you to decide. It's your kid. It's your choice. I just don't know how good it is for the kids. You know, especially as they get older. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's fine. I don't know. So, should you have kids? I can't answer that for you. It's a very personal decision. I mean, it's something that you're going to have to figure out for yourself. Unfortunately, nobody else can really answer that for you. But you know, having kids is not something that you just do for a weekend. It's, you know, it is a long commitment, and you do have to keep that in mind. You know, you're looking at 18 plus years of commitment. But let me tell you, those 18 years go by in a blink. They go by so fast. I know it sounds like a long time. It's not. I mean, anybody who has kids can probably tell you the same thing. It goes by like that. I have an 18-year-old. I can't believe I have an 18-year-old. Truly, it feels like last summer, you know, he was 5 years old, you know, just finishing kindergarten. I mean, I just like, what? Yeah, he's 18. He's getting ready to graduate high school. I mean, wow, it goes so fast. Now, there are times that it feels like it drags on forever, but then all of a sudden somebody hits fast forward and then boom, they're taller than you are. Like, oh my God. when did that happen? And my 13-year-old, you know, he's as tall as me now. And his voice has started changing a little bit. It's funny because my older son never went through the voice cracky thing. He literally, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, literally, he woke up one morning and his voice had totally changed. Because I heard him talking downstairs, and I thought, why is there a man downstairs? He sounded like a grown man, and he was like 14, 15, something like that. I think he was about 14. And it sounded like a grown-ass man talking to somebody in the living room. And I come downstairs, and he's down there talking to his brother, and I said, I thought he had a cold or something. I'm like, what happened to your voice? He said, I don't know. I just woke up like this. He never had this cracky, squeaky voice. No. It just changed just like that. Literally overnight. It was nuts. And then he just talked like that from then on. He has kind of a deep voice. It's nuts. And his brother, I think his voice has started to change a little bit, but I don't know if his is going to be the same. His might be a little bit more gradual. So your experiences with your kids are going to be very different. They're not going to go through the same things at the same times because, again, they are two totally different people. So everything is not going to be identical for your kids. They're not going to have the same personality. They're not going to make the same decisions. You're going to have a different experience with each of your kids. But yeah, I will say for me, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, I am so glad I had kids. I am so glad. I don't see it as a sacrifice because, you know, you say, oh, you have to sacrifice, you have to give up. I don't see it that way. Like, I don't feel like I sacrificed anything that wasn't worth it. It was totally worth it. And I would do it again in a heartbeat because they are wonderful people and I love having them in my life. They are the best thing in my life. And I love having them around. I love being their mom. It's the best thing. Don't let people scare you off from having kids if you really want to. But it is a commitment. Now, it's not, you know, they're not stuffed animals. You can't just stick them up on the shelf when you don't feel like playing with them. You know, it is a commitment of time, energy, money, resources. I don't see it as a sacrifice, though, personally. It was worth it. I would never hold it over their head that I sacrificed for you. You chose to have me. Why are you saying this? I didn't choose to be born. You chose to have me. You don't get to try to make me feel guilty because you had to feed me and shelter me. Shit, an orphanage would do that for me. So it doesn't really, you know, you don't get to get all high and mighty about it. An orphanage would have done the same. So that's, you know, that's not even worth trying to bring up as a bargaining chip with me as your kid. Fortunately, my parents never did that. But I know people who had parents who would try to hold it over their head. Like, I fed you and kept a roof over your head and clothes on your back. Well, that's like the bare minimum that you do for a kid. Not really worthy of, you know, you don't get to brag about that. But it is something you have to do. But yeah, it was hard sometimes. It was challenging. It was stressful. Sometimes I wanted to wring their necks. Sometimes they probably wanted to wring my neck. I wouldn't blame them. I mean, hell, we get on each other's nerves. But we love each other. And we get along for the most part. Most days. Yeah, my 13-year-old has gotten into that moody teenager thing that, some days, man. Lord have mercy. They say girls are the ones that are always dramatic. No, boys can be too. They can be dramatic too. Oh my God. He's one to kind of get dramatic about stuff sometimes. He'll blow shit out of proportion in a heartbeat. I'm the same way. I can't say a damn thing. I have a flair for the dramatic. I don't know if you've noticed, but yes, I tend to have that too. We're getting up near Pilot Mountain. The knob. Oh, hazy up there today. It's going to be warm. It's going to get up to 80. And I'm excited. I have on a t-shirt under here. Woohoo! I love it. So yes, I'm very glad I had kids. I am so glad I did. But yeah, it's not for everybody. And if you truly believe it's not for you, be cool with that choice. There may be people who try to pressure you one way or the other, but go with whatever your gut instinct tells you. It's an adventure. Having kids is definitely an adventure. And I'm so glad I did it. I know I said I wasn't going to, but I'm so glad I did. I am so glad. They are the best thing. They are the best part of my life. And I look forward to having, I hope they're still around when I'm old and decrepit. You know, at least I can look upon my children and say, you know, look at that. I produced 2 wonderful adults. Look at that. Yeah. It's great. It's the best thing. For me, I can't speak for you. So how will you know if it's right? You won't. It's just like any other big decision. You're not always going to know if it's the right thing to do or if this is the right time to do it. There's never going to be a perfect time to have kids. Not that I know of. I mean, for most people, there's no one perfect time. Like, you can't schedule it on the calendar. It doesn't work that way. I mean, you could decide that now is the right time to have kids, but you can't get pregnant until 2 years from now for whatever reason. You may not get pregnant right away. You may find that you can't have children for some reason. Life doesn't always work out the way your schedule wants it to work out. You're gonna be committed to 18 years. Can you guarantee that for 18 years you will have no financial problems, no health problems? No, you can't. You could have children, and then when they're small, you find out you have bone cancer. I hope not, but I'm just saying, life is unpredictable as hell. You're never going to know because there are no guarantees for anything. Anything can happen. But that's true whether you have kids or not. You know, you could develop bone cancer whether you have kids or not, which is horrible. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It's terrible. But I'm just using it as an example. Yeah, you're never going to know for sure. And there is never a perfect time to do it. So I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but it's true. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. There is never a perfect time. Look at Pilot Mountain up there. Oh boy! Look at that big old knob. It's way bigger than it looks because that's still quite a ways off. Sorry, it's so bouncy. This road is very bouncy. So yeah, I'm looking at the knob. Quit looking at my knob. Yeah, I'm glad I had kids. I really am. I've never regretted it. Has it always been easy? No. And I know I've said that 400 times, but it's not always easy. It's not. It's not going to look like an Instagram picture every minute of your life. There are times when having kids is yucky, it's dirty, it's gross. I mean, kids are gross. They are gross. There's stuff coming out of them all the time, you know. Sometimes both ends. I mean, they just, you know, you're going to get, I've been thrown up on, I've been peed on. I have gotten peed on while changing diapers. I've been pooped on. I mean, you know, it's just part of it. It's just part of what you go through. It's funny. I don't even care. It's funny now. You look back and you laugh. I remember my younger son, the winter of 2009 was horrible. So my younger son was about 6 months old. My older son was 4. And they were both going to the same daycare center. And there was this stomach bug that just kept making the rounds through the daycare center all winter long. It ran through our house 3 times that winter. And it was also a winter where it snowed. We had snow or sleet like every other week. I missed so much work. I used up all my vacation time between sickness and weather that winter. And my younger son would throw up with no warning. Now my older son would give you about 3 seconds of warning. He would do this high-pitched kind of a like Michael Jackson having a foot cramp or something, and then he would throw up. My younger son, no, he'd just be sitting there playing and just go bleh, and just go right back to what he was doing. He didn't even care. He didn't even care. So I was holding him. He liked for me to hold him and just walk. You know, he didn't feel good. So I'd hold him and I would walk. And he had his head on my shoulder, you know, and he barfed down the back of my shirt. Like it went all down the back. There was no warning. It's funny now. Hell, it was funny at the time. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh, God. So, yeah. So, and it's just me. I mean, I didn't have anybody to pass this sick kid off to. So, it's like, all right, come on. We'll put you in your little bouncy seat. I got to go take a shower. Because it got in my hair. It got, oh, man. Let me just go wash all this off. You're just going to have to sit in your bouncy seat and cry for a minute. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Yeah, even stuff like that, looking back on it, is funny. It doesn't gross me out. It's just, after a while, you kind of get over being grossed out by stuff. Like, whatever, man. It's fine. It's cool. And if you're afraid to have kids because you've never been around kids, I'm the one to talk to. My older son was the second baby I ever held in my life. I'd never changed a diaper. I'd never babysat for anybody. I knew nothing about babies beyond what I had read in a book while I was pregnant. That's all I knew. My husband at the time had to show me how to change diapers. I understood the basics of it, but he had to show me, like, okay, here's what you do. It's very simple. I mean, after you do it a couple times, you're going to be an expert. You take somebody who's never had kids and somebody who's been around kids all their life, give them a baby. 6 weeks later, you won't be able to tell the difference. Hell, 2 weeks later, you probably won't be able to tell the difference. You'll learn very quickly. Trust me, you have plenty of opportunities to practice all of it. Changing diapers, burping a baby, all that. You have plenty of time to learn how to do all that. So don't let that stop you. Childbirth, some people are nervous about that. I was nervous about it. It's an experience. It is definitely an experience. And my two births were very different too. Don't expect it to be the same the second time, because it may not be. My second son, the birth was very different. It was a lot faster. He couldn't wait to get here. I almost didn't even get an epidural. It went so fast. I did get it, but barely. The first one, I never experienced any pain because I got my epidural in plenty of time. I spent all day Valentine's Day in the damn hospital in labor. My husband didn't even get me anything. He was just bitching because it was taking so long. But he was born after midnight on the 15th. Anyway, yeah, it's fine. I don't remember anything about the birth being especially traumatic. I mean, I know everybody's childbirth experience is different. It is. I mean, no two are the same. Thank God for epidurals. Don't be afraid of the epidural. I mean, if you want to have a natural childbirth, you go right ahead. No, it's not for me. That's my personal choice. No, I want the drugs. I got to feel some contractions with my younger son because it went so fast, and I'm good. I wanted that epidural. I was praising the anesthetician or the dude when he came in there with the needles in the tray, like, thank you. Oh, thank God. I'm so glad to see you. Help. This hurts. So yeah, I was really happy to see him. So oh yeah, sweet relief of that needle in your spine. You're at a point where you don't care. Put it wherever you need to. Stick it in my eyeball. I don't care. But I know plenty of women who have had natural childbirth and don't regret it and would do it again, and that's for them. It's a very personal thing. Everything about it is a personal decision and a personal choice. And I would never judge anyone for their choices, because I understand that whether you breastfeed or use formula, very personal choice. It's a choice you have to make. I would judge no one on that. Whatever works for you, that is the right thing to do. For you and your child, that's the best choice. I did breastfeed both of my kids. Let's see. And it was hard too because I was working, so that's an extra challenge. But I did it for 7 months for my older son and 6 months for my younger son. And I just decided, I'm going to do it as long as I feel like I want to do it. And then when I'm ready to switch over to, I had to supplement with formula the entire time a little bit. So they were used to drinking out of a bottle because they were in daycare. So it was not a problem to eventually switch them to all formula. And, some people will look down on you for that. Just ignore them. I'm here to tell you, and no judgment from me at all. Whatever works for you, that's what you need to do. And people have a lot of reasons for why they choose whatever when it comes to their kid. I respect that. Everybody's situation is different. And I would never look down my nose or judge anyone for the way they do anything with their child. I mean, as long as you're not hurting the child, I think whatever you're doing is the right thing to do. As long as you're not hurting them or starving them or whatever, No judgment from me at all. Well, I think that's about all. I've talked for 50 minutes. My God. But yeah, I'm going to do a whole, it'll probably end up being more than one video. I got to remember to not cuss. I got to turn my cuss filter on for the other channel. This one doesn't matter. Y'all know that. I just say whatever comes out. But I do want to answer some questions. A lot of the questions were very similar. I think the most common question was, if you could go back and tell yourself anything as a young person, what would it be? I got that one a lot. Some of the questions were kind of weird, kind of off the wall. Nothing wrong with that. It's like, never got that question before. But yeah, I'm gonna answer what I can. I'm gonna go through. It'll have to be one day next week, because I have some stuff going on this weekend I got to take care of. But it'll probably be one day next week before I get to that. But yep. Well, thank you so much for watching and for being here. I'm headed toward Mount Airy at this point, and then I'll head on up into Virginia from there. I cannot believe I left my damn clippers at the house. I remembered the packages. I remembered to eat something. I forgot the damn clippers. Well, I'm sure he has some. He'll let me use something. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Happy Friday to you. I hope you have a